viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagmani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aryabhatta College, University of Delhi. So as you all are aware that presently we are learning introduction to programming using C++ in the form of a lecture series, and in this lecture series today's topic is basics of input output and file handling. So till this point what we have covered everything which can be done as a subset of C++, or we can say C, and then we have seen the object oriented properties, or how object oriented paradigm is going to be used within this C++. That also we have seen, and all properties we have explored along with the programming. So now when I talk at this stage, when I talk about basics of input output, basic IO, so the first thing which comes into a programmer's mind when I talk about basics of input output or input output is C in and C out, if I talk in specifically in terms of C++. But here we are going to kind of move step ahead from that C in and C out, and we will be including the reading of input and giving the output to the C++ files, or to the files which are stored on the hard disk. So presently the C in and C out are dealing with the keyboard or the printer, and on the other side of this is the memory. Now we will be dealing, instead of memory we will be dealing with the files which are files which are stored on the hard disk. So let's see how it goes on. So when we talk about input output, we all are aware that there are libraries that provide us with many ways for performing input and output, and if I am going to ask at least one name of that kind of one header file which is there to help us with the input and output, the answer will be very trivial, that is iostream.h. and this iostream.h we always include within our program. Now why do we include this within our program? Because this is having all the classes and all the methods related to input and output. Now in any programming language, or specifically when we talk about C++, how this input and output is performed, or how this input and output is handled. So basically any form of input whenever you are having is nothing but a sequence of bytes. Similarly, the output which you are going to print, whatever you want to print on the screen, is also in the form of sequence of bytes. These sequence of bytes, whether it is kind of an input sequence of byte or it is an output sequence of bytes, it is more commonly known as streams. So specifically we can say the input sequence of bytes is the input stream, and the output sequence of bytes is the output stream. So input and output stream are the common names which are given to the sequence of bytes which are either coming from the input device or going to the output device. So whenever I am saying either coming from the input device, so coming from the input device, that means they are coming from keyboard, that's the standard input device. And if whenever I am talking about that the sequence of bytes or stream is going on to an output device, by default I mean the monitor. This could be another output device as well, but by default I mean keyboard as the input device, and your monitor, your screen as the by default output device. So coming into details of this input and output stream, let's say there is a direction of flow of bytes which is from a particular device. So whenever I am talking about from a particular device, so the flow of bytes is coming from a device to the program, or more specifically to the main memory then this process is called input. So we all are aware of its kind of, we can say, trivial terminology, that whenever we give input, that means there is a device through which we can, let's say, type, or that's the keyboard, and that is stored somewhere into the memory. That's the definition of the input, and vice versa, whatever is given or printed on the screen or displayed on the screen, more specifically, that's the output. But technically speaking, when we say input stream, so that is nothing but the direction of flow of bytes. There is always a flow of bytes. Now if the direction of these flow of bytes is from a device, for example keyboard, to the main memory, that means this process is called input, and that flow of bytes is known as input stream, or we can say simply that input stream is coming from an input device to the main memory. And now if we reverse the situation, that means the direction of flow of bytes is opposite, that is from main memory to any device. So now I am talking about main memory to a device, that means it's going to be a kind of monitor, or simply we can say a screen, display screen. Then this process is known as output, and this is what we all are aware about when we talk about the output. But specifically, that output stream is that flow of bytes whose direction is from main memory to any device. So we can say that there is an input stream which will come from keyboard to main memory, and there is an output stream which will go from main memory to the output device, which is standard output device is your display screen or monitor. Now how are we going to achieve the facility of this input and output, that is, or we can say input stream and output stream? So as I have already told you, there are specific header files in C++ which are there to provide all the kind of functionalities related to input and output. So IO stream is one of them, IO manip, which stands for input output manipulation, and F stream is the third one. So more we have three main header files in C++ which are specifically there to provide the implementation of input and output. So one of them is IO stream, input output stream, another one is IO manip, which is input output manipulation or manipulators. I will be coming to this in a short while, and the third one is F stream. So coming to them one by one, let's take IO stream first. So IO stream stands for standard input output stream. This is the header file which contains the definitions of the objects like cin, cout, cerr. Now cin and cout are, we can say, kind of we are very familiar with these two terms right from the first program. Then cerr is the kind of standard object for the error. So input output stream, IO stream header file, which is iostream.h specifically, stands for standard input output stream header file, and this header file contains the definition of objects which are very common to be used for input and output, which are cin, cout, cerr, etc. These three is not the kind of exhaustive, but we have long list, we can say. For the second header file, which is IO manip, it stands for input output manipulators. Now whenever I am talking about manipulation, then I kind of I am very clear that this is going to take, or this is going to have some methods which are used for manipulation of these streams. Now how these streams can be manipulated? For example, there are methods, let's say set W and set precision. These two are the just example. There can be many more. So set W is for set width. If we want to set width of a particular input or output, we can say we use set W method, or set precision, as the name indicates, it is for defining the precision of your float or real number. So that means how much precise you want it. That means after the decimal point, how many places you are looking for, or you are willing to accept, or you are willing to give. All those kinds of manipulation can be done using set W, set precision, and many other such methods, and all these methods are available inside IO manip header file, which stands for input output manipulators. And the third one is fstream. This header file mainly describes the file stream, or this is being used, this header file is used to handle the data, whether it is being read from a file as input, or it is being returned into the file as output. Both the scenarios simultaneously can be handled using this header file, which is there to describe many things about the file stream. Then we have the common instances of C++ in common instances of input and output in C++, which are cin and cout. As I have already told you, these are available in IOStream class, input output stream class of IOStream header file, and they are very often used for printing outputs and taking inputs, and we have seen it in almost all the programs. So, three header files basically. One is IOStream, which is having definition of standard objects like cin, cout and cerr. Then we have IOmanip, which is input output manipulators in order to manipulate the stream like set W and set precision. Then we have fstream. So, this fstream is actually a header file which mainly describes the file stream. So, these three files we have seen, which are actually we can say very commonly used when we talk about input output and file handling. So, now coming to let us try to explore more about this cout and cin. So, the standard output stream is more commonly known as cout, and we are more familiar with this term cout. But now as we are getting into this file input output, so the standard output stream is the another we can say nomenclature or name for cout. The predefined object cout is an instance of OStream class. There is an OStream class in IOStream header file, and this cout is an object of that OStream class. Now, how this cout object is performing its function is that this cout object is said to be connected to the standard output device by default, which is usually the display screen. Now, let us say if we want to have that output, instead of on the display screen, we want to have that output in a file. That means we need to connect this cout object to the to that particular file in which we need the output. So, basically a standard predefined object cout, which is connected with the standard output device, which is your monitor or display screen. Now, how this functionality is taken or is implemented by cout is by using the stream insertion operator, and this stream insertion operator is nothing but the less than sign, and that is the two consecutive less than sign which we generally use, that is cout and two less than signs, and whatever we want to print, let us say hello we want to print. So, what is the standard thing? Cout, then two insertion operators and hello. So, basically what is happening, cout is actually an object which is connected to the standard output device, and whatever is written after this input insertion operator, which is always used in conjunction with this C out, that particular string, that's let's say for hello, is taken, and using this C out object, this is given to the standard output device, because your C out object is by default connected to that your standard output device, which is nothing but display screen. So it will take that hello, that string from the program, we can say, and that from the main memory. By taking this, it is with the help of a stream insertion operator, which is 2 less than signs, it is going to give this to C out, and then C out, as it is connected to the display screen, the display screen will have this output shown. Similar functionality of standard input stream, let's say we have, which is our C in. So standard output stream is C out, and standard input stream is C in. So as the C out was a predefined object, which was an instance of O stream class, on the similar lines, C in is an instance of I stream class, and vice versa, C out was attached to standard output device, C in is attached to the standard input device, and as the standard output device is display screen, standard input device is your keyboard, that we all are aware. And now about the implementation of this functionality, C in is used in conjunction with the stream extraction operator, which is written as 2 greater than sign. Now try to please recall, when we use C in, we say C in to standard kind of greater signs, which are stream extraction operator, and then let's say we say A. So whatever is input on the keyboard, with using this stream extraction operator, that means there is an instance of the input stream class, which is C in, and that value of A, let's say, is taken from C in with the help of this stream extraction operator, and that value is inserted into that variable A. So whatever is entered onto the keyboard, from that keyboard, this I stream class, instance of I stream class, which is C in, is going to take that in the form of flow of bytes, in the form of a stream from keyboard, and then it is going to put that value inside the variable, and this is implemented in conjunction with the stream extraction operator, which is the 2 greater than signs. So in order to recall, let's say we have C out, instance of O stream class, and attached with a standard output device, and work with a stream insertion operator. Similarly, when we talk about C in, instance of I stream class attached with standard input device, which is nothing but keyboard, and then that C in is used in conjunction with stream extraction operator. So that's the kind of, we can say, line by line difference between C in and C out. Now this was about your basics of input and output. That means how this input process and output process actually takes place when we talk about this process, specifically in terms of C++. Now coming to file. So till this point we have seen that whatever is coming from the keyboard is stored in the main memory within let's say a variable, and whatever we want to print onto the screen is coming from the main memory and going to the standard output device, which is monitor. Now let's see, one side we have keyboard, another side we have main memory. Similarly, we have main memory and another side we have screen. Now what if I don't want to kind of interact with this main memory, and what if I want to store the input or output, whatever, store the output in the in a file, and I want to read that input from a file instead of main memory. So now what I am trying to say is at the both ends of the streams, which are input stream and output stream, there is main memory. Now we don't want to deal with the main memory, we want to deal with now there is a requirement of permanent storage. Whenever I am talking about permanent storage, that means I am talking about hard disk, and the way to store information onto the hard disk is through files. Simple, that's a very kind of a standard thing. So now we are looking for permanent storage, and using file we can access the related information using various commands in different languages. So now these files can have whatever material you want to store or whatever material you want to read from them, if it is available there. Now these files can be accessed using various commands in different languages. So we will specifically focus, as per our title, we will specifically focus on the C++ thing. But when we talk about file operations, so let's say we have a file on the one hand, what all file operations we can perform on those files. So let's have a look. We can create a new file using through a particular C++ program that will be kind of stored on the hard disk. We can open an existing file, and after the opening of that existing files, we are going to obviously read the file contents, or maybe we want to write something more onto that file, or we want to kind of change or update the contents. Similarly, one operation could be we can search the data on a file, or we want to write into a new file, we want to update the contents of an existing file, or maybe we can say we need to delete a file. Also, one thing which is very important here is we need, whenever we are saying creating a new file or kind of making a new file, we need to open that file as well. And similarly, with the opening there comes a complementary operation which is about closing a file. So the list of operations says creation, opening, reading the file contents, searching the data, writing the data, then update already existing contents, deletion of a file, and closing a file. All these operations can be performed with the help of, we can say, all these input output streams or standard we can say objects, and all these operations can be performed using or through the C++ program. Now let's try to kind of summarize what we have gone through in this lecture. So first of all, normal we have C++ provides we have three header files which are IO_manip, IO_stream, and FStream in order to handle the input output functionalities. Then we have seen in detail about the standard input stream and standard output stream, which are C_in and C_out. Then we have seen what is the fundamental behind using these streams, whether it is an input stream or an output stream. And then we have seen what if we are going to replace the main memory at the two ends of these streams by using file, what kind of effect it is going to give. And using these things, what all operations can be performed on a file which is to be stored there in the hard disk. So this was kind of a quick recap of what we have covered in this lecture, and here is a list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. Hope you had a fruitful learning. Thank you for a patient hearing.